Hello, everyone. How are we all feeling after the Burnley game last night? Finally, Manchester United get a result. United, come on, get in. Obviously, some bold, controversial pros and cons I want to talk about, so make sure you stick around for that. Make sure you get in the comment section, leave a like on the video, and let me know your thoughts on the game overall. Of course, we wasn't live for the game yesterday. Just had a lot of shit going on. It was rarely miss watch alongs, to be honest with you, but yesterday it was just one of them, like, bit too much. Couldn't go in front of the camera. It is what it is. It's been sorted now, but yeah, it was just one of them moments. Just had to go away from it. Just watch the game on my own. But now, obviously, I've had time to watch back. It's a different day. We can actually analyze it, go through certain things that people liked, like you guys. I want to hear what you thought of the actual game in itself, what you liked, what you didn't like, who you thought performed really well in terms of individual performances, except and other things like that. But we'll dive into all. Obviously, last night wasn't the most kind of shimmering performance, but the main thing is you take, what's that old adage? You take the 3 points and you fucking run, don't you? So as always, after the game, we have a lot of things to discuss. I always start off with the negatives and then end on a positive. I'd much rather do that than the opposite way around, of course. So I want to start with negatives. VAR. Again, I was looking at the situation so far this season, and this isn't going to be a rant, like me ranting about how VAR has done us dirty or whatever, but I'm just simply going through the decisions and letting you know my opinions on them, and of course, get your opinions as well, and let me know if you think I'm wrong, if you agree, or whatever, right? But so I was going through the decisions so far this season. The penalty against Tottenham, which got chalked off. I think whose hand did it hit? Was it Romero's hand? I think it was. Garnacho shot hit Romero's hand, was basically real doubts that we didn't get it effectively, which everyone was just boggled by. But then you look at the one that you see in the Champions League and the one that they got there, it's kind of like, a little bit and ahhing. The goal for United against Arsenal, sorry, Garnacho on the last line. That was interesting, certain angles and that, the way they drew the line. United's against Brighton, Rashford's assist was over the line, but is that clear and obvious? The camera angles that he was using. The goal for United against Brighton, sorry, I just mentioned that. The penalty against Bayern Munich, which I've already mentioned with Christian Eriksen, it's different in different leagues, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then the one against Burnley last night was probably the one that you're watching and you're probably thinking, yeah, that's given. I completely understood that. As soon as I saw it go in, obviously I was celebrating, jubil, like everybody else was. And then you watch it back. Obviously, Højlund is in the guy's eye line right in front of him and is in an offside position. So that one I actually agree with. But I'm just saying with Manchester United in general at the minute, they don't seem to be getting the rub of the green, do they? It seems to be a lot of unluck. And rival fans will sit there in the chat and they will say, oh, what are you whining about? Why are you crying about decisions and blah, blah, blah. But let's face it, that's cold, hard truth. If that was against them, if that's for their team, they'd be saying the exact same things. They're all hypocrites, really. It was more than us for going on about injuries. We've got 13 injuries or 13 players that aren't available. But when Liverpool had Van Dijk missing, they all wore a fucking T-shirt for him. So am I missing something here? Or, I don't know. Yeah, people can be fickle at times, can't they? So, yeah, the VAR, obviously decisions aren't going our way so far. We aren't necessarily having a rub of the green. Maybe some people might say that swings and roundabouts. Whatever. Scott McTominay, how he's getting minutes recently, I have no idea. This isn't a personal attack on McTominay. This isn't, a vendetta or whatever you want to call it. I just don't understand how he's having any minutes whatsoever. He was absolutely invisible in that first half. Poor touches, hides behind players, looks disinterested. Even after that clip that got posted after the Bayern Munich game where he's just not asked tracking back, the manager puts faith in him, starts him. And then someone like Hannibal, who I'm going to talk about later in the positives, in the pros, should I say, outperformed him. Look, miles better than him. So how can you expect to have game time and get a lot of minutes when you're playing like that? Most of the time when he gets drafted in against Burnley, the reason why he gets brought in is because of his physicality, maybe his duels. I was looking at his metrics last night. He won 0 out of 3 aerial duels, 2 out of 8 ground duels. Sorry. His passing's limited. He's not really a specialist as a 6, an 8, or as a 10. He's only ever really good when you're playing against an expansive team who are pressing really high up and he can exploit the space in that box-to-box role. Apart from that, he doesn't really offer much, in my opinion. Yes, he would probably be good for, a Europa League side, or he'd probably start for them on a regular basis, but he can't be starting for Manchester United in 2023. Not in my opinion. Again, don't know what people think, but that's just, like I said, I think Scott McTominay was just invisible that first half. Didn't really notice him at all. Also, I keep getting him and Højlund mixed up on the pitch. Every time when they're playing, I always get confused as who's bombing forward. But yeah, McTominay, strange one. Rashford and Bruno Fernandes, I thought was pretty shit again. Obviously, Bruno scored a world there. I'm not, listen, that's world class, that goal alone. But his actual performance, that can't sugarcoat his performance for me. These two players in particular, Marcus Rashford and Bruno Fernandes, are putting in stinkers at the minute. Absolute stinkers. And people, when they talk about Bruno Fernandes, they'll talk about distances covered. Look how hard he's working, and that's all great. But if you don't bring quality and composure, then you might as well be Steve Sidwell. I'm not sure if this is a hangover from last season, the amount of minutes he's played, the intensity mixed with a heavy pre-season in terms of travel, but he looks absolutely flat at the minute. He looks so flat. Desperate on certain situations, just needlessly running, which is it's nice to have someone pressing consistently and putting in that work rate, but he's just, I don't know. He's someone's just said it there perfectly. Ideal. Rasha is a headless chicken in the final third. Rashford, selfish once again. You all know it. You're all speaking it. Mustafa there says Rashford, Bruno involved car crash. News, not injured again. Yeah. That's it's nothing. Obviously, it's bad that he's had a car crash, wishing well, but he's not injured or anything. It's not serious from what I've read, so we're okay in that element. But yeah, in terms of performance, just not good enough for me. Bruno reminds me of like we've all had it, when you're younger, your mum's tired, she's a bit naughty, she's a bit like I can't be arsed with you. He looks like a tired mum who just needs a good sleep and a bath and come back revitalized again. Like he just looks fed up when he's playing. As for Marcus, he looks like he did under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer again was it 1920, like 2021 season or 21-22. It just looks like, again, blind alleys, selfish, not passing the ball in certain situations, decision making, no crosses into the box for a striker. Like, you have to realize, yes, look, you took the mantle last season, you scored 30 in all comps, fantastic. Your form after the World Cup was amazing. But you have been called a purple patch player before, and you're playing into that criticism when you keep performing how you're doing. So I'm a little bit worried about Marcus, because if he's not scoring, you're relying on Højlund, who's only just come in, or random goals not random, but the goal you saw from Bruno Fernandes last night was unbelievable, wasn't it? So yeah, little things like that, but he needs to start playing better, 100%. He's not a team player, too individual in my opinion. A winger provides for the striker, not Rashford, says Bob. I agree. When he plays in that position, right wing, you never get the best out of him, Bruno. People don't like Bruno on the right. They really, really don't. I think you might see Mason Mount a little bit more on the right-hand side when he's fit and raring to go. I don't know what you guys think, but that's just my personal opinion. I think the overall performance in general, still not convincing. I get it's Burnley, it's away, it can be tricky sometimes. They actually play nice football under company. I think Bruno Fernandes said that in his interview after the game. But Spurs put 5 past Burnley. And I know Spurs have been good this season, but they put 5 past them. We should be going there and convincingly winning with the players that we have. No one here, no excuses like we haven't got this player, this guy's injured or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Brighton beat us at Old Trafford, played us off the park 3-1 with a team that was worth £40 million. So I don't care what anyone says in that regard. No excuse whatsoever. We should be going to Burnley and playing them off the park. I feel like as a team in general, we lack chemistry in certain areas. And obviously you've got new players coming in. It's a completely new defence. You're still conceding chances. Burnley hit the post, I think, didn't they? From what I can remember. So teams are just creating chances against us. We have such a leaky defence. I'm surprised we kept a clean sheet last night. And that's on the pros list, which I'll talk about shortly. But I'm very surprised we kept a clean sheet last night, because that defence, you look at it at the start and it's just panic stations, in it. Delo, Johnny Evans, Lindelof and Reguilon, you're like, fuck knows how many we are going to concede here. But in fairness, they got a clean sheet, and I'll touch on that shortly. Reguilon, again, he's on the pros list, but in terms of his hamstring injury, that obviously is a negative, because 2 of our first team fullbacks are injured for a significant period of time. He started really well. He's looked good in every single game, looked good against Bayern Munich, looked good last night, and now apparently he's pulled up with a hamstring injury, which is just like an absolute nightmare situation. So depending on how long he's out for, we now have 3 senior left backs injured, and the one who can actually cover there in Diego Delo is covering at right back because Wan-Bissaka's out for 2 months. So you literally can't write this shit. I was speaking before about how unlucky we've been with VAR. We have been unlucky with injuries. We still have quality, which I mentioned before, but we have been unlucky. Again, you've got to call a spade a spade. So they are my cons, negatives, whatever you want to call them. Let me know if you think I've missed any. If you want to put out there yourself your own opinion, and I'll happily discuss it. But just from watching that game from a pure perspective, they were what stood out to me in terms of the negatives that we taken from that game. Luton and Sheffield, I didn't see that comment, just gone, sorry. When Liverpool had no centre-halves, everyone said just get on with it. Well, this is what I mean. Everyone's saying it to us. So, you know what I mean? Adil says there's been no real info on Malacia injury. Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't understand. There's been no clarity at all. Maybe it's something personal. Maybe he's going through something. I never want to be kind of quick to judge, players, whatever it is they're doing. I'm sure you'll hear something about it. The fact they're keeping it quiet makes me not suspicious, just like it must be something that I don't know. I don't know because they haven't disclosed it. So it's a bit of a strange one. He's been out for a while, Malacia, as well. So yeah, in a bit of a situation there with the left backs. But we'll move on to the positives. Hannibal. Let's talk about Hannibal because I thought he was impressive. And look, I'm going to hold my hands up right now. Whenever I've watched Hannibal, whether it's preseason, I've watched him a few times, under 21s, whatever game it's been, I've never rated Hannibal. I've never, honestly, you can watch back the shows that we've done. I've always said he's okay, he's good. Whether he'll be a United player at that level, I'm not so sure, but I am always happy to be proved wrong. Always happy to be proved wrong. Like I said, he worked extremely hard on and off the ball yesterday. Ten Hag's comments after the game as well were saying like he stuck to the plan perfectly. He was really, really impressed with him. In possession, I thought he kept things simple, retained the ball, but also looked to carry through pressure as well. I remember there was whispers in the summer that United were looking at him as kind of Bruno Fernandes, his understudy. He's obviously got a long way to go, but I thought he was really, really good last night, and he was better than Fred and McTominay have been, at least for a full 90 minutes. And maybe sometimes you get 45 out of Fred that was just horrendous, and then the next 45 would be amazing. So, yeah, I thought Hannibal for the full 90 minutes was a real positive for us last night because youngster, a lot of energies, and look, that midfield's stacked. But if you're performing like that, you'll probably get more minutes than you thought this season. So, yeah, really liked Hannibal's performance. What did you lot think? Mate, you only just won last night. Be back to normal next week when you play Palace. I don't know if you alluding to the fact that we might lose against Palace there. I have no idea what you're on about. But anyway, there was a huge gap between attack and defence. McTominay is not good. Even the defence line is not as good as the Man City defence. Reguilon, it's a transfer of the season, says Babatosh Hazarika. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Yeah, look, I don't know if he's transferred a season, but he's certainly was good. He was very, very good. He's been good since he's come in, and I'm going to talk about Reguilon. Here's Johnny Evans. Let's chat about Johnny Evans. I think everyone was nervous as fuck, like myself, when you saw the back line and Johnny Evans is in it. Lissandro was out, Varane's out, Maguire's out, God forbid. I mentioned his name. We've obviously got a lot of injuries, so he was brought in as cover. And that's what he did. Now, I'm sure someone like a Mark Goldbridge is going to say, is this our standards now? We're cheering on Johnny Evans or whatever. But, you've got to give credit where credit is due. He was actually okay last night. I'm not saying start him every game. He's the best centre-back in the Premier League. Johnny Evans, back to his old form, whatever you want to call it. I thought he retained possession really, really well. Unbelievable assist for Bruno Fernandes, by the way, pulling a Xavi out the locker, or Paul Scholes-esque. Dare I might say, brings a calm leadership to that back line. He obviously has a lot of experience, so I think you could see that. He was guiding the defence a lot. He obviously has flaws. He's not the quickest. He lacks that kind of pace off the mark, but he's cover. You know what I mean? He's cover. It is what it is. Like he had to come in last night. Who else are you going to play there? You play Casemiro there, which some people were saying before the game. Then what do? You take Casemiro out the midfield. Who do you play in the midfield for the full 90 minutes? People say Amrabat, but Amrabat clearly wasn't ready to play a full 90 minutes. So you've got to do what you got to do. He came in. He did it. He did his thing. Obviously kept a clean sheet. And that's another positive. Clean sheet. Our first clean sheet away from home with a disjointed back four. So important we use this foundation now to kind of build upon that. We've been leaking way too many goals recently. It was like 13 goals in 5 games or something fucking ridiculous like that. That's the first time and we've kept a clean sheet away from home, I think, since Bournemouth in, was it March or May? It may have been. So really, really happy with that. Onana contributed with a nice couple of saves, but no one will talk about that because it's not a negative and it's not an error or a mistake, because everyone wants to jump on his back as soon as he does one thing bad, but as soon as he does a couple of things good, no one wants to fucking mention it. So look, big shout out to Onana as well in that back line. We've got players starting to come back now, which is another positive. Our new signing, like I mentioned before, Sofian Amrabat got onto the pitch. Rafael Varane, got back onto the pitch. Kobe Mainu and Mason Mount are back in training now. Maybe they'll be available for Crystal Palace. Lissandro, I'm not quite sure what's going on with him. I mean, he's not looked himself since the start of the season. So I don't know if he's still actually injured or if I don't know what it is, but there's clearly something wrong with him. So if he needs time, to rehabilitate or just to get it right, allow him time to do that. We might drop points, we might do whatever, but ultimately, short-term pain for long-term gain. I want him back to how he was playing last season because he was unbelievable last season. 7 out of 10 every single game up until he got that injury against Sevilla. So I really, really need Sandro to come back in that form that he was at because he was a top level. One of the best in-form centre-backs in the league, in my opinion. And again, people disagree with it, but that's just my honest opinion. So really, really need him back. Serge Reguilon, as I said before, another solid performance from the Spaniard. Pulled up. We've got luck to be a hamstring injury. I'm praying it's nothing serious, like I mentioned. I think Eric Ten Hag said before the game as well that he was ill. But he was like, fuck it, like showed a bit of character and was like, I want to play anyway, regardless. So the fact that he was ill, putting a performance like that, and then got a hamstring injury as well, is a bit gutting because I think his attitude, application, 1v1s, bombing forward, offering that overlapping run and that width, I think has been impressive since he's come in. It's weird to say, but he's actually been probably our best player in the past 3 games. And again, I'll happily discuss that with anyone else. But I do think Serge Reguilon has been much better, which is just crazy to say. To show us where we're at, unfortunately, at the moment. But look, at least he's been good since he's come in. It could have gone the opposite way. Made a few mistakes, so you got to take the positives out of that. Shah Sam is saying, why is getting ill all of a sudden? I don't know if you was going to say, why is everyone getting ill all of a sudden? I don't know. There seems to be something going on in that United camp, whether it's injuries or illnesses or absences. Something's going on. I feel like, could you imagine if we would have had Amazon All or Nothing this season? The views that would have been getting. Oh my God. Like pre-season up until now, or even before that would have, the views that they would have got. I'd love to be a fly on the wall to see what's going on in that dressing room because, well, we know certain stuff that's going on in that dressing room because people are fucking leaking stuff, aren't they? As per with Manchester United. So we know certain things that are going on. Some people don't think the treatment of Sancho is fair, is unfair. So what? You're trying to instill discipline in a squad. You know what I mean? You have to take these actions sometimes. I think Ten Hag's doing the right thing. I'm completely behind the manager. And I think if anyone isn't, and you're trying to call him out for certain things, you're entitled to your opinion, but I think it's absolute nonsense. People moan when players have power. I remember under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, things with Pogba and Lingard and Martial and Ragnick and these kind of things. And people were moaning at it, saying someone needs to get a hold of this dressing room and grab it by the scruff of the neck. As soon as Ten Hag comes in and starts doing that, people are moaning. Like, you can't win. Let's take anything away from Burnley. They could have beat us, worried about the defence. I agree, Jono. Absolutely agree with you. Hannibal was great, much better than Bruno. Also agree with that as well. Absolutely, 100%. Make sure you leave a like on the video for us if you can and subscribe to Real Reds Talk, whether you're in the TikTok or the YouTube. We're going to be live later on with a breaking news show. Again, like I said at the start of the video, I apologise I wasn't live for the watch along or the review last night. One of them days, everything just fucking piled on top of each other. I needed to get away. It is what it is. It's gone now. We move forward like you do if you have a bad result. So yeah, content is back now. It's absolutely fine. For anyone who was wondering, what is your opinion on the takeover? I don't really have one now, to be honest with you. I think like most Manchester United fans are just tired of hearing continuous different stories, whether it's positive or negative. Or I could literally do a pros and cons on the takeover. The positive news spin, whatever you want to call it, that we've had, and then the negative stories, and see, add up how many each one has and what different kind of stories we've had. Ultimately, this is a situation right now on the takeover. Qatar aren't going to bid anymore. So Jim, has legal issues with his bid. The Glazers want more. They want £6 billion, and it's stale. It's a standoff at the minute. If Qatar comes in with another offer, things might get moving. Up until that point, you're just going to get speculation, or maybe one of the runners might drop out. I don't know. But for now, it's going to stay like that, probably for another 6 months, in my opinion, the way things are going at the minute. I want new owners. Trust me, I'm absolutely dying for new owners, but I just don't see it happening within the next 6 months. And I remember I was listening to Ben Jacobs, Fabrizio Romano. I've gone off a bit of a tangent here. I was supposed to finish on a conclusion before, but I'll talk with you for a second. I was listening to a podcast from Fabrizio Romano, Ben Jacobs, and another guy. I can't remember the guy's name. Oh, a guy, David Hellier from Bloomberg Financial Report. And they said some interesting things in there. And it just seems like that is what it is. They're just waiting for this figure to be hit. The issue is because it's 6 sellers, it's not just one person. You're trying to get 6 vulture capitalists to agree on one price and who they want to take over, and what kind of money each one of them are going to get. And I always describe it as like a group of vultures just pecking at the body, and United fans being the body. And it's like a piece of meat gets taken out of us every story that comes out, headline being or whatever it is. So I think this is going to be ongoing for a while now, until the Glazers get what they want. They think there's a new kind of financial landscape on the horizon with the rise of football in Saudi and the money that's coming from there, the new Club World Cup, the new Champions League format. So they're just seeing pound signs in the head, which is the only language they speak, and they can't even speak that properly, can they? To be honest, they're lost in dialect when it comes to that. So yeah, Qataris need to add a little 500 mil and just take the club. Kings, just a little 500 mil. I take 1% of that. I'll tell you that for free. I have 22, a real bad man, says King Charles. Okay, King Charles, that's interesting. Could we be seeing the reason why Ten Hag wanted Timber over Lissandro? In regards to what? Sam, talk to me about that. Put a bit more context to it, just so I'll happily discuss, but I don't get what you mean. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. The Glazers are the only decent thing United have. That is obviously not a United fan who's putting that, because if you knew the Glazers, then you would definitely not be putting that. But look, just back to the game in itself. Let me just give you a quick conclusion. I think it's nice to celebrate a win with a clean sheet away from home. I don't think we'll get many of them this season, the way it's going at the minute. So I'm happy to take the 3 points. We have a nice run of games coming up now. I was having a look before. So we've got Palace at home twice. We've got Brentford, Galatasaray, and then Sheffield United away. So hopefully that win against Burnley last night swings that momentum. We start getting results. Others around us start dropping points, and we can start to, climb back up that table, because I think we're already 9 points behind Man City at the minute. And depending on what happens in the North London derby today, we'll be a certain amount of points behind Arsenal or Tottenham, which I think that game's fascinating, by the way. I can't wait for that. I'm going to go watch that at 1 o'clock. But I think others will start dropping points. I think Liverpool have West Ham today, if I'm not right. They could drop points. I don't think they will, but it's a possibility. So, yeah, teams around us will start dropping points. We need to catch up, because the start of the season has been shit. Get players back into the squad, and let's start competing again, because these past few weeks have been a fucking shambles. We've got another international break coming up soon, which is just so irritating, because I feel like we're going to get into momentum of winning. International break comes, players go off, they come back, and yeah, you hear leaks and all that kind of shit. You see it all the time. So, yeah, I'm not looking forward to that. But look, as long as United start picking up results, that's the main thing. So, yeah, let me know your thoughts on pros, cons. Appreciate Sunday. People are probably watching North London Derby, so quite a few of you will be watching it later on. Get in the comment section, leave a like on the video for us, subscribe to the channel. And yeah, let me just read out. TS7, do you reckon we'll finish in the Champions League positions? I know it's early to say, but I can't see it. I can't see it in a minute. I think top 5 is going to be a proper scrap, me. I really, really believe that. So, no, I don't think so. Unless, I don't know, stranger things can happen in seasons, innit? So, it is what it is. Yeah, I'll leave it at that for people in the TikTok and people in the YouTube. If you are watching this later on, please do leave a like in the video for us. Make sure you check us out on social media, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook. And if you want to become a Real Red Ultra member for exclusive content every single week, we dropped 2 videos this week. One, Real Reds react to viral tweets after the game, so tweets from Goldbridge, Gary Neville, etc., and we discuss them in depth. And then there was another video on Jadon Sancho from the streets to the Stretford End about his full career and his climb and certain issues on and off the pitch. And I think that was a really interesting one and took a bit of time to do as well. So hopefully you enjoy that kind of stuff. I've got an idea for next week, what I'm going to do. I'm not going to mention it just yet, but yeah, that'll be dropping early. Probably tomorrow or Tuesday, I would say, for the members. So if you want to become a member, click the join button next to the notification bell. You get a chance to feature on a live show with the lads, exclusive content, and like I said, a Badge 16 name. So take care, everyone. Enjoy the North London derby, and I'll see you lot in the next one. Peace. See you in a bit, guys. Thank you.